Okay, before I get started on this teardown or an autopsy of a Bissell Pro pet machine, I want everybody to know that I found this thing in a trash can. All right? If you go out and you buy one of these from Walmart, it's going to clean your carpet. All right? You're going to pay about $320 with tax on average for one of these things, and if you can keep it 6 or 7 years, that's about $52 and some change per year that you got to use it. So, my main thing is I'm going through it and I'm going to tell you basically how I think everything is made. I may not be 100% correct on that. I'm also going to tell you that the machine is not 100% manufactured up there in Michigan, because you'll see that the components and stuff are, a lot of the parts are made in China, Thailand, Cambodia, and some of the stuff is manufactured in Mexico, and there's a certain assembly that goes on in Michigan is why it can say it was manufactured in America, but not everything is made there. All right, it's more of a truthful thing that advertisement, and the only thing that you would really, you'll probably see the stuff that I'm talking about, but it's going to be in that really really small fine print in your instructions somewhere, or but you're going to see parts of the machine that normally only technicians get a chance to see. And I'm not going to go up to Walmart and buy a brand new machine and tear it apart, because that's stupid, right? I found this in a trash can. I've already diagnosed as to why it probably got thrown away. It was because of the pump motor and it wasn't getting water to the floor. But now we're going to have fun. I'm going to disassemble this thing, and you're going to get a chance to see all the components. And one of the cool things is, if you're working on your machine, you can watch me take this thing apart, and you can kind of see the parts that you may need to replace or you may want to fix yourself. But I'm not going to put it back together. I know what it needs. It just needs a $12 motor. But because I found it on the side of the road in a trash can, I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to use the parts and components for different projects for future YouTube videos. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm back. So let's say that this part up here, this plastic injection molding process, basically, if you've ever done a model and you break those little plastic pieces off, there is big machines that can manufacture that whole piece right there. All right, and then all these little components, like that clear piece, is a molded injection process. There's other different process, but the one that I've seen the most is basically a press injection. It's under pressure. They heat plastic pellets up and they mold these parts, and you can mold them into anything you want. Now, those machines cost a lot of money, except they can just stamp this stuff out really fast, and it creates the same type of part, and it makes it easier to manufacture and put together. But in other places, like these motors, this motor may be manufactured in China, and this motor down here may be manufactured in Vietnam. And this is a little plastic injection. This is that impeller that comes on the pump. All right, you can look at that, and that's all molded in one piece through it's called plastic injection molding. There's different. You can actually see. You see those? Damn, it's hard to see because there's 3 little indentions. All right. See right there? Right where my thumbnail's at, my dirty ass thumbnail? That's where the plastic is injected into the mold, and it forms this piece inside the mold. All right? So it's a simple process, but it does require a large investment in the machines. And boom, this thing right here can stamp down, and there could be like 100 of these manufactured at one time. They just fall into a thing, and there's a part that's made for this Bissell machine. Now, you got the nuts and screws and all that. Those are manufactured in different places. There's a lot that goes in to making something like this. You got the screws here. This is another plastic part that's injected. The motors, the copper wiring, the wire itself, all this stuff is outsourced and brought in slowly until this whole machine could be manufactured. Like, how many hours is put into that? It's really hard to figure that out, because you got all these parts being made by hundreds of different people. I mean, it took hundreds of people maybe even thousands of people to put that together. And when you could really dive deeper into, like, okay, you got the plastic that's petroleum based. It comes from an oil refinery somewhere, and it's dug out of the ground by the oilmen from around the world. Then the plastic is cut up into small pieces, and then somebody has to make the dyes and the colors to dye that plastic to make it red and black and clear. All right. So there's a lot of shit that goes on in just making a simple Bissell machine. And that's what I'm talking about whenever we're talking about outsourcing. Can you imagine all that stuff being done in the United States? Well, it probably used to, but it just can't be done. And that machine couldn't be made all in the United States and sold for $270. Because if Bissell did that, they wouldn't be able to compete with the other companies. Because you know what they're doing? They're doing the same exact thing. They're outsourcing all this stuff to different countries. And the only way to be competitive is to outsource stuff. And, you know, you got the 25% tariffs that they're talking about. So all this stuff may get tariffed. But Bissell has a plant in the United States. So maybe they get around a lot of that tariff stuff by having that plant in the United States. They can manufacture all this stuff, and then they pay tariffs on a smaller profit margin of their product. Then they bring it into the United States, they assemble it, and they don't pay the tariffs because they're assembling it in the United States. All right? There's all kinds of different little rules. That's just one way they can get around it. All right? And I don't know that much. I'm just a guy that used to drive a truck, and I used to haul this shit. You know, all of it at different points. Whether or not I was hauling raw material or I was hauling the finished product, which is kind of there. This one right here was found in the trash, but, you know, hauling the finished product of this stuff. So, a lot of different reasons why things cost. Americans are notorious. We want good paying jobs and we want to buy cheap shit. So, here you go, right here. This is the American dream, people. Alright, so let's put this up here. Put you guys up here. And we're running. See what we got here as far as angle goes. And we're going to start doing the autopsy on the Bissell machine here. See where we're at. Maybe I should zoom on that. Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit there. Move you over. And then I'll try to get some decent views. There we go. I just got to make sure the camera stays pretty much in the same area. So we got these little hose clamps here. Let's see how easy these hoses are to pull apart or pull off the machine. That's not going to be easy. That bitch is on there now. She's turning around pretty good. They're basically the same type of hoses that you would have on your car. You know, for your windshield wipers and stuff. There we go. See, that is a plastic injected piece. And it's got some little nubs there. The cool thing about plastic injection is that you can make like puzzles and put this stuff together. So there's one piece. I don't know what I'll use that for. But then now I've got myself a little hose clamp. Put that over there. Put that in my hose clamp file. I've got myself a spring of some kind that I can use for something. Maybe, I don't know what you can use that for. I also got another spring here from this thing. So you never know what we're going to get. I've got 4 screws here. I've got another hose clamp there. You kind of got to pull these really hard. I got to be careful because I'm on blood thinners. I don't want to smash my shit up too much here. So take this hose off. These damn things are on here now. Oh, there's a damn hose clamp in there. That ain't gonna come off very easy until I get those 4 Phillips screws out. I'm getting a lot of screws from this little machine. But yeah, everything about this is that there's some metal in here, like the screws are metal, but a lot of it is just plastic injection. Another type of molding they use is they'll heat up plastic and they'll use vacuum to produce different plastic parts. And then high pressure molding, which that's probably more, but plastic injection is high pressure molding. I doubt there's any 3D printed stuff in here, but it's mainly all done through heat and vacuum and rapid cooling of plastic. Little tiny, like, here, I'll show you this. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got little indentions there in that plastic, and that's where the plastic injection builds this entire part. It just kind of squirts it in there, puts it underneath pressure, and molds it. These are basically, the white is one mold, and this black piece is another mold. And these little 4 screws, but there might be some more springs and stuff in there. Springs will sometimes keep pressure on stuff. Nope, didn't have any springs. So that's pretty unique right there. I'll take this little hose clamp. I'd say they're kind of like the ones under your car, but for the most part on these, you can just take your fingers and move them back. But man, they are definitely on the pipe. There's got to be an easier way to do that. I just haven't figured it out yet. Okay, I just say brute force. There we go. Got that sucker pulled off. See, they got that little lip on the inside, so the hose goes over it, but it has a hard time pulling itself off. So that's pretty cool. Plastic injection, another thing that you'll notice, in order to reduce cost of building one of these parts, you'll have a lot of indentions, and see these little lines in the plastic? That actually adds strength, but it allows for less material to be used when they manufacture these. Let's see here where that probably isn't where the molding was. Could be. Normally I can always see. Let's see if it was made in 2 pieces or not. Yeah, this is all one piece of a press that pressed that in there. I'm trying to see where it actually came in at. Maybe they ground it off really good. Maybe those 4 holes there is where the plastic injection went in. But every piece normally will have a telltale sign, or it'll be back here in the back. What the hell is that on my glasses? Earwax? That's fucking nasty. Anyway, put that piece over there. Now we've got ourselves another hose clamp. Put the hose clamp over there. We've got this plastic piece, which it has some kind of fusion probably that went on right there. Maybe that'll unscrew out. Yeah, looks, no, it's not going to unscrew out of there. So this part right here, it's like a bearing they put in there. It might come out of there. Let's see if I can press that out. Looks like it wants to come out. So yeah, that piece is actually molded into that. I wouldn't know how that comes out of there, but it does, because there's like 3 pieces. You got the outside, the plastic, you got this inside like bearing. There's probably a bearing in there, and then you've got that little metal piece. How was that piece injected? Don't know. It looks like they had to, when they were manufacturing this, the design team had these 4 pieces, and they realized that it was so tight fitting they had to shave that one off. So that looks like that was done almost manually after the process. They had to shave that off because of the... So probably a Chinese company or something had to do that right there. Right there is where the injection was to build the piece. So this was probably solid right here, and then they had to bring in a drill press or something to cut that out. But there is, and right here you can see that little round circle. That's where the injection molding went in. So that's another piece for that. Okay, now we've got ourselves a T-piece here with another hose clamp. Let me pull this out over here. Pull that really freaking hard. There we go. Now I got myself a look. You know, you might be able to use that for a gas line hose. All depends on what kind of rubber it is. You could run gas in that and that bitch melt on you. Now, if you were to go up to the store and buy like these little tees and stuff, I mean, shit, it's going to cost you quite a bit. So you never know, unless you do a bunch of tinkering like I do, you might not ever use anything like that. It's right here, another plastic piece. Okay. Trying to, whoop, I broke that sumbitch. All right. Well, this is another plastic injection piece, but since we're disassembling this machine, and I'm going for like little parts like this, because the little parts like this, see that little piece of plastic broke off in there, so I'll probably cut this hose back. But you never know, you might use that someday. These are the things my wife hates about me, probably, is my went out and got this machine here. See if I can get this little T-piece off. Now I finally got that disconnected. And now I've got myself a T that I can use for something someday. Okay, and this little hose here goes way down deep in there, and I'll assemble, take that apart here in a little bit. Now we're down to the basic motor and everything. Let's see how this is all going to come apart, because I want to do this in a way that so this is the plunger, allows the water to come up into here. I'm going to guess that this is some kind of a relay valve, and this right here probably comes around and it turns this motor on and off in some way. I'm just guessing. All right, because the water comes up through here, probably spins a little shaft in there, and positive, and maybe it's a separate type of pump. We'll figure that out here in a second. But we're not plugged into the wall. This thing, if you're going to be taking shit apart, and that's what this was right here. This hose comes all the way around. Okay, so when you this is upside down basically. When you put the tank on, this little thing right here gets compressed on your tank, or the one on the bottom. The one on the bottom gets compressed, and you got to figure this is turned upside down like this. That's going to go in there. Your water goes through this hole. Gravity pulls it down here into this. This right here is spinning around, indicates that this is a switch. The electric shit is hooked up over here, and the water gets around this hose, is going around your electric motor, and that goes into your pump assembly, which is what that little motor did. Let's see here, this little motor right here, and then that's what brings the water down to the lower part of your machine and through your hose. But we know that this motor here doesn't work, so I'm going to disconnect it, And we have this little piece of plastic on there in the motor. So we got this is the little pump motor that pumps the water to the floor, and it's very small. You can see it's a $5 part. It goes out. And that's the main reason why we're doing this machine. I could buy a $5 part and bring it in, but I'm more interested in what does the rest of this thing look like. So this right here is some sort of relay or switch. I'm not sure, I'll have to look that up. Anyone know what that is right there? It's got the 4 wires that roll into it. I'm going to try to take this out to where I don't have to disassemble too much of the wiring, because I want to use this motor for something, and I don't want to have to rewire it and all that other shit. So I'm going to try to take out all the electrical components that I can. Here's the switch. This is on-off switch. That's a good toggle switch right there. I don't know what you could use that for, but you could use it for something. It's got these slide connectors, which these are on there pretty good. Here we go. Got that off. Got that off. And now I've got myself a bar toggle switch. This thing was probably made in China. 3/4 inch, 3/4 horsepower, 125 volt toggle switch. And I know that works good. So that's another component. That would probably cost you $5 or $6 to buy that switch. If you had somebody replacing it, it would probably cost you $80, you know, for an American to do it. That's the reason why this shit is outsourced. So when I talk about being cheap and stuff like that, I understand. You know, everybody gets mad that, hey man, how come we can't manufacture stuff in America? And it's because, like I said earlier, Americans, we want to have high-paying jobs, but we want to buy everything extremely cheap. And you got to have high-paying jobs just to buy the cheap shit anymore. Let's see how the hell this goes in. Okay, so this is the electrical cord, which goes in there. Man, this sucker, they bend the hell out of that. So let's see what we got there. We got a Phillips screw. Then we can get rid of another piece of plastic. Take this out. That sucker, so that's probably in there for a bite so that you don't pull out everything in the machine, is why that's designed that way. But man, that is a heck of a U-turn for your electrical cord right there. So you see these little teeth that are in there? That's designed so that whenever you tug on it and you run out of cord, it doesn't tug it out of the machine there. So it's got these little teeth. Your electrical cord wraps in that before it goes on the outside of the machine. And that little disc that I took off kind of smashes that in there to make sure that your cord doesn't just get torn out of the machine. Because if you didn't do that, you could see that you could just tear out all these wires and stuff, and that wouldn't be ideal for what you're going to do. Now these are the toggle switches cords. I'll move those on through. Try to fish them through there, and then maybe we can take this apart. I may have to disconnect these. Oh shit, we got the wire nuts and stuff there. So the best way that I'm going to be able to do this is I'm going to feed the cord all the way through. I'm going to pick that up. It's a little bit damp down there because of the water and stuff. You got a really decent size electric cord there. But here's the deal. I'm pretty sure this isn't going to fit through here unless I do some see, we're dealing with this small little opening right here, and once I get to the plug, that isn't going to want to go through there. Now I could get through there if I disconnected the wiring nuts, which we might do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get here. It's a pretty good size electrical cord there. I could use this electrical cord and probably put it on my damn saw on the outside. Let's see if I can make that fit through. Boy, it's going to be close. Did they design it right to where that'll go through? Let me grab my screwdriver here so I don't... There we go. Get that through. And there's another large plastic piece. Now there's other stuff involved in that. You got some seals in there. Plastic injection again. This whole piece, besides these two pieces here in the back, this may just assemble in there. Oh, you got two screws right there. Let's take those apart and you can kind of see. So this is your intake and your outtake for your tanks. Just a plastic piece done through injection molding. Well, this one right here looks like it was done through press molding because there's a seam right there. See, I don't know if you can see the seam or not, but each one of these tubes was made in two different pieces. The only reason why I know a little bit about this is because I got a watch, and I took, free tours anytime someone wanted to kind of show me. And it was normally at small mom and pop shops that had maybe a few plastic injections or a lathe or, a machine shop. It was always the real small places. They would bring me in and they would show me how everything works. And I thought that was pretty cool. And you'd be amazed at how much stuff we use on a daily basis is made from plastic injection. They actually got the parts and part numbers and stuff on there. Not sure if that part was, it definitely probably wasn't made in the United States. Do we got some rubber on the end of it? No. Oh, there is like a little rubber seal in there, so there's another couple of parts. You got the screen, and that top part is rubber, like a little rubber seal. Yep, you can take those rubber seals right off. So that's probably another part you can buy. And this little plastic piece right here, I bet you that rubber seal is separate than that. Yep. And then you can take this this little plastic piece off by pressing in on these plastic there, and you could pop that out and replace that if you wanted. There's another little plastic piece. It's probably going to get thrown in the trash. This little piece right here has some manufacturing on it. Let's see here. Made in China. All right, so this part right here was made in China. Consumer care. Estas faisant la machine. So finishing machine, floor finishing machine. And I guess that other part is in French, la machine. So got a little bit of French writing on there. All right, so now we are at the motor. I've got some pipe fittings here. Looks like I've got 1, 2. Oh yeah, yep, they did it. They did it again. See, there's a little screw right here that's going to be tough to get to take that motor out of there, unless this part right here looks like it can come out by itself. So in order to get to that screw, I'm going to have to take this out. So here's another component right here that can break down pretty easy. And it's some sort of switch. All right, once it reaches water pressure, it sends, and this is how I kind of learn stuff, is just knowing the basics on how stuff works. You can kind of figure it out a little bit. Now when it comes down to, when it comes down to micro and motherboards and stuff like that, I get very damn confused really quick when we start talking about little diodes and little copper lines running through boards. But I kind of understand that, but you almost need a microscope or something to get up underneath. So I've been wondering what this is, and I'm guessing it's some sort of switch that's activated by water coming through gravity. And once that switch gets kicked on, it sends electrical signals around. So we got the brown wire, which I have no idea what the brown wire is for. I do know that the green is a ground. Maybe the brown is a positive, and this is your common. But where does that brown wire go? Because that brown wire would tell me a lot. I might have to get rid of some shit over here too, because I can't really see where that goes. Looks like it goes up underneath and around the corner. There might be some other switches right there. Let's take this off and see what we got, because this is a plastic. This is a Bissell Pro Heat 2X lift-off pet that I found in the trash. I just gotta mention that from time to time, so people that are just joining in right now are wondering what the hell I'm taking apart. And we're just kind of doing all the parts. So there's 2, 3, looks like there's 3 screws on this part if you get to it. And a lot of screws. I wonder if I can even get into that. Oh, okay. So that just kind of folds up. Looks like we got ourselves a hose in there. This is where one of your tanks is going to fit. Maybe your freshwater tank. It's going to go in there, fills that up, or it comes out through the bottom there. And we've got ourselves another hose. I can take this off by giving, gotta put some pressure on these damn hoses. Oh, nope, I'm just gonna pull that one clean out of there. So there's a little piece right there that, well, that one there has 2 separate parts on it. And there's your hose. It would go in there. It looks like that is, this is like one of those puzzle pieces that's put together through injection molding. So you got to sit there and maybe bend those in. And then you can press them out. Sometimes it helps to have like a screwdriver or something to get in there. This right here should disassemble just like that. And that's the cool thing about plastic ejections is you can put these little tabs in your design. And then you've got 2 parts that can come together and they just click into place. Like the way I took that out, I'm not going to click it back in, but those will just snap right in there. So, you know, you can learn a lot just by figuring. And there's me another hose for something at some point. You never know. You might need a hose about that big. And we'll just put that over there. So I've got another screw there. I wonder what the hell that goes to. Let's see. Yeah, then there's someone in a foreign country that's putting all this stuff together, you know, one step at a time. Maybe someone will put this in and then they'll hand it to the next person, and they're just doing the same thing. They're putting in the same part every day. That's part of an assembly line. Like that was kind of perfected by Henry Ford, maybe. I know that he did it for the large manufacturing, but yeah, that's a. Imagine sitting around a factory and doing one part and just doing that all day long. Because there's people in the United States that still do that. And I feel for them. I'm glad they do it because that's just a job that I wouldn't want to do. I mean, it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you're getting paid really good or not. Unless you're just trying to support a lifestyle. But I couldn't spend 40 hours a week, you know, putting in one part all day long. It is fun to kind of disassemble the stuff and see how it's made. There we go. Took out that one. Got myself another little piece of hose right here. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. So imagine all this water and everything going into that. And that is a large electrical bus. Okay, I get this. So this Bissell machine plugs in. You can take the top off, all right, and you can use the motor part of it. Like this part right here was the machine, and I'll put a clip in of what it looks like. So you can pull this off, like go up and do your stairs and stuff. This is the electrical bus that when you put it on to the main platform over here, it operates the electric, it operates the heater, and it also operates the brushes. So this is basically how you transfer the electric, and you can pick this piece up and move it, do your carpets, and when you plug it back in, there's a plug base right here that plugs into that. As soon as you set it on there, it's just held on by gravity, and the electrical circuits and everything take over from this and transfer to that, and that's how the brushes and everything are powered. We're learning something here. We're learning something. Okay, and then I've got this little valve down here. Maybe I can move this out of the way. See, what do I got here? I got this hose. I could take that hose out. I need to take this hose out. That one has got two. Okay, I could take this out. Maybe. It's going to take a little bit of pressure to get that one out. There we go. So that's a valve. That is a valve, a push valve. Got a little O-ring on it. It's plastic injection molded. And now I should be able to take all this out. Okay, this went to my little pump. This is a switch. See what this fine tuner here says. Baby, can you get me another Pepsi over there? I'm almost out. How you guys doing up there? We're getting into it. We're slowly disassembling this thing. So yeah, that's what this is. This is some sort of switch, maybe pump. Try to read this. Melody E5 120. Doesn't say where it's manufactured at. But like when you see one of these, like this little piece right here, this motor is probably manufactured in a different country. 120, 60 volt. Tells you what the max amp is, temperature rated, max 80 degrees Celsius, 72 degrees Celsius, 120. It's got a pretty cool signature piece on there though. Let me unplug this. It's like there's a signature up there. I guess it's like whoever designed this piece or something, but you know, sometimes they'll give part designers a little bit of credit, and they'll just trying to, there's got to be an easier way to do that. I'll have to look and see. I always just kind of take these things apart. There might be a little bit of crimping going on there. Let's see if you turn it that way. No. Huh. I don't know. See if I can follow these to something else. It might come off a little bit easier. Okay. So that pump goes down to that bus down there. I can just unplug it from that bus, and this white wire yeah, so that's some kind of pump. So I've been thinking about making a heater I might be able to use that for that, for this little heater project that I'm talking about. I'm going to have to take these. I'm gonna need to take these wires apart here. I've got a zip tie, which I need to break free. See if I can break it free with just my screwdriver without screwing up everything here. See if I can snap that off. That's not gonna be as easy. I'm gonna have to use a better tool than that. I'll be right back. Do I have any snips in there? Hey, got me a pair of fingernail clippers, but a pair of scissors would work.
I got fingernails on our table with the big.
Oh, here's a pair of scissors. Let's see if these little bastards will work. These fuckers look old. Look at those. See those? All right.
Cuticles.
Cuticles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if those came from my dad's little surgery drawer. I've bought those at another time. Oh, look at there. We separated the wires and the colors separated as well. So 3 wire nuts. All the colors seem like they go together. It looks like it's a crimped type of wire nut situation. Pretty sure if I tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to cut the wire. I can cut it with this pair of scissors. There we go. And now I've got a whole pump assembly. All right. So this is like a small pump. Don't know how much water it pumps per minute or anything like that, but we can figure that out in another YouTube video. This is a, I don't know if you can see that in my, look at the signature plate up there. That's up in this area. Can you see that? Looks like it's got a, oh no, it's on this side. Yeah, it's on this side. There's a, like, brand name or signature of the person who invented that part or something. CN. I don't know. Some electrician or guy who does electronics will understand that more than I will. But that's something that someone else invented. They put it into this machine, and who knows? I might be able to do something completely different and make something pretty cool out of that. So we'll just put that over to the side. Okay, this wire right here went to that little pump, and it was just a green, so we know that it's grounded. I could probably follow all these greens somewhere, and you'll find out that they're just grounds. Oh shit. Well, that fucking pair of scissors was a piece of shit. Let's just throw those in the trash. Yeah. What is another special tool that I don't want to go out to the toolbox and grab? How about just a regular pair of fingernail clippers? You know, you don't know until you try. And, you know, fingernail clippers apparently make really good wire cutters, as you just saw. You found out at the same time I found out. Let's try that again. How well do fingernail clippers work? Well, you can take them and you can clip a damn wire pretty easy with them. At least, I don't know, 16 gauge or 18 gauge wire. That doesn't look very, very thick. But fingernail clippers working just fine for me right now. Okay, so we got that goes into the motor. This is the main electrical wire. By the way, this thing isn't plugged in right now, so there's the black that comes out, and then we have a green and a white, and there's a green and a white right there. This is all bust in into this electrical box here. I'm going to take all these buses out, or whatever the hell you call this down here. It's a switch or a plug. Maybe that's where they're all going. Once again, this is what's becoming of a Bissell Pro Heat 2X, because we're going to do some other stuff here later on in the year with the components that I'm taking out of this thing, because I like to tinker. Now, does anyone know what the fuck that is? All right, what the hell is this? Somebody put in the comments what that is if you're watching. Is it a fusible link, or is it a... It's written in Chinese or Japanese. Maybe it's some kind of a resistor. It's got a plus on it. I'm gonna have to look up and see what the hell that is. It does something. So take the fingernail clippers and get in there and just get that see if I can clip that off using fingernail clippers instead of wire cutters. Will it clip a... There we go. You have to get in there and clip the band without going through the insulation on the wire. So who's that guy that he has a lot of short videos and he's always like, you want to see something cool? If he sees this video, I'm sure he would know what the hell that is. I'll have to tag him in a short. And hey, the guy that says that this is cool, this is coming from a shampooer machine. What is that? Is that a resistor or what? I'm going to tag you in it. I don't know if you'll ever respond or not, because you kind of I like watching your videos, but what is that? Anyone else know? I mean, I'm going to tag him in it, but if you know what it is, let me know. All right. Got that all moved out of the way. It seems like we are pretty close to getting this motor out of here. And I'm really curious to see the type of fan and everything that's underneath this. This is a large piece of plastic. So this is just like a plastic piece that goes over the motor. Looks like a big, strong motor. It might be a small sumbitch when we take it out. Let's get the 4 screws off. I think that's all we're lacking. Oh, right here is where the fan actually blows. Might be some sort of squirrel cage motor in there. So I don't know when I take these out if I'm going to have some issues getting this out or not. But let's take these 4 off and we'll see how big the super powerful motor is that runs one of these Bissell machines. By the way, since I picked this up in a trash can and I'm taking it apart like this, I'm pretty sure the warranty is fucking voided. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any chance. I see something like this on the side of the road sometimes and I'm like, I've got to take that apart and just see how everything works. It's an educational experience. I guess this is what you would call it's kind of what they would do in reverse engineering, is take everything apart and see how it works and see if you can't make it better. But I'm not competing with Bissell and I'm not going to make any shampoo machines, but I'm definitely curious as how this shit is manufactured. I only got one more. I always say I only got one more, but there's probably 25 different things that's holding this shit together. It looks like I'm going to have to take out one there too. Am I even in the... Let me put that back in the frame there. You guys weren't in the frame. And this one right here. I guess I could have had my little DeWalt drill and I could have made this a little bit faster. Yeah, that is water on the bottom there, because when I was testing it out earlier, a little bit of water spilt on the ground, but it's not plugged in. All right, let's see. Will this bitch come off? Might have a little bit of what's going on there. Does it twist? And sometimes shit twists halfway and then comes up. So those are all the electric motors and stuff. Does it have tabs on it? Yeah, it has tabs on it. So after you do this long enough, you start seeing how other things are manufactured, and you can be like, oh, does it have tabs like I just did there? And you can kind of figure it out. So this right here looks like I gotta lift these tabs, and the top, oh, look at that. Doesn't that look pretty? There's a lot going on in there. There's the brushes to the motor and all that. That little thing right there probably should stay on. Just saying. The winding. This is the big motor that spins, the one that makes all the noise. That is like a little rubber piece there. Take that out. And it looks like that's like a shock absorber or something. Little rubber. Put that over there. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we got that. Does this thing even come up? Yeah, I got that screw out of there. So all those screws are out. Anything else on the bottom maybe holding this bitch in? Don't see anything on the bottom. And you press it out that way. Yeah, it was just stuck on there through water pressure. So now we're gonna take this large motor out, which really isn't that big. This motor really is not that big, people. Not very big at all. It's in pretty good shape. Trying to see. Okay. So there's a little bit more. Oh yeah, it is a squirrel cage fan. So that squirrel cage right there picks up, sucks the air out of the bottom, sucks it through there, which would explain why we got this rust and stuff on this bottom, because when you're shampooing, the carpet is got a lot of moisture on it, and it's sucking that moistured air up in here, causing this to corrode. Alright, so the bottom of these machines probably corrode quite a bit on this bottom section, is what I would be guessing, because it's sucking the air up through the bottom. And the air that comes in here has to go somewhere. No, that wouldn't be right. Would it? Maybe this is creating suction on the outside. It's sucking here. But still, it's blowing out the bottom, and it's causing, you know, it's so close to the carpet, it's bouncing back and forth. So this right here is creating suction, is what I'm guessing. It wouldn't be creating blowing action. It would have to be sucking from here, and sucking, that sucking motion is coming from here, which is transferred through all the plastic injection molding and shit like that, like transfers through this, and then it transfers through these tubes right here. All right, and it's pulling through here. Oh, okay. The main motor. All right. Amtex Motors, Shanghai Co. All right. I'm pretty sure Shanghai Co. is not an American company up in Michigan. I think that the main meat of a Bissell machine is right there. But you would never find it unless you disconnected all the stuff that we did. And right in there, I don't know if you can see it, right in there, there's a little tag that says Shanghai. So the main component of a Bissell machine, the motor that makes everything, all the power, is made in China. So they got some good wrapping. It just looks pretty in there. There's a lot of copper. And this motor really isn't that big, people. It's not very big at all. It's metal on the inside. That hamster cage wheel or squirrel cage fan in there, that is made out of metal. And I think that if you were to put your fingers in there when that thing was running, it would tear your fingers completely apart. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But I don't know if I could take that apart anymore or not. That is plastic. Even the motor cover is plastic on this thing. Let's see if I can put this back on. So this would be like an exhaust tube right here. And this, I may need to keep this because that's what seals up everything. I wonder if that part comes up. I wonder if that comes out differently. Oh, and here's this tube right here is sealed in there. So this is not sure if it's, may just pop out of there like a puzzle piece. Yeah, something's holding that bitch in there. Does it twist out? Oh, there's a screw in there. I see it. I see it, bitch. Looks like there's two screws. So if you're trying to get this part out and this part's leaking or something and you got a new part, there's a screw there and there's a screw over there. Let's take that out real quick. We're getting close to the end here, I think. What the hell I do with my glasses? There they are. All right, here we go. I got my short stubby, which is coming handy for some parts. Let me get this right here. Okay, once again, this is a Bissell Pro Heat 2X lift off pet I found in the trash. And we're just disassembling it here. Right in the camper floor. Just for curiosity's sake, making a YouTube video. Did that do it? Almost. Thing is, how the hell, there it is. Put that screwdriver in there. Take this little piece out. So I'm not really 100% sure if I would consider this a really strong motor or not. Producing super high. So taking those two screws out and it comes out that easy. So that's the last part right there. And then we got this plug. Just some metal plate connectors that run through there that would go through plate connectors. I guess, yeah, that plug is kind of separate. I don't know if I want to take that apart or not, but, well, shit, I might as well. And then you've got some springs and stuff over here. There's a few parts that I could take off on there, but this is probably just going to get thrown away, that part. And we got this right here. So this is definitely assembled kind of weird. Should come apart pretty easy though. Should. It's not going to because I said that. I got myself a spring here. There's another spring. You never know. You could use that spring for something. And I'll show you all the shit that's on the floor here in a second of just all the small components. But here's your super motor made from an American company, but the motor itself was made in Shanghai. So there you have that. And then here's the electrical cord comes into the motor. And I could probably plug this in and it would work, but I'm not going to do that until I look at it a little closer. I definitely want to put this plastic part back on the top. Even the casing on this motor is plastic. I mean, a lot of the casings that I see now, plastic, it probably works better on a shampooer, because if you got metal on something that's got a lot of water in it, like the bottom of this motor has metal on it, you're going to have a lot of corrosion. So I can't really say much bad stuff about having a plastic cover on a motor that's going to be around liquid all the time. This right here should just snap back in there if I get it. I want to make sure I get it on the right side. I'm sure the wires go through there, and then that just snaps on top. All right, and then you've got like a blow or suck right there. That would probably be sucking in, and then this would be sucking in for the intake and the outtake. But that's your motor. All right, this is the motor that is in an American made machine, and it was brought to you by Amatec Motors in Shanghai, China. That's pretty cool. All right, I love discovering stuff. Hey y'all, oh yeah, let me show you this real quick. You mean to see all the stuff that's over here that I've disassembled from this thing? So these are all the small components. I've got all kinds of little plastic stuff, screws, plastic injection, got springs. I've got a pretty nifty little toggle switch. And I can use this stuff for all kinds of different stuff, maybe with the exception of this water pump motor right here, because it doesn't work. All right. I hope you learned a little something about Bissell, the American-made company with all parts from China in it. Have a good day. And Vietnam and what was the other? There's some other. This shit comes from all over the world, people. It's not made in America. Have a good day.